is. Okay, we want to talk about balance a little bit today. And then I'm going to also show about some of the techniques, how to do them most effectively on the Cellerciser so you can get better results. Okay, so balance. We've got two types of balance, real important. In fact, I want this to be a separate section in the video. But we've got dynamic balance and we have static balance. I want you to notice this balance bar is pretty wiggly. Actually, it's that way on purpose. I used to have it even more wiggly. I'm going to tell you why. I don't know if you remember when you were a kid or not, but I remember this. We could stand up on a fence post. We'd put our arms out to the side and we'd walk across the railing, and we were balancing ourselves as we were walking across the railing. That's called dynamic balance. You're using lots of different muscles in the body in order to coordinate them so that you can do that movement without falling off. That's dynamic balance. Now, if I were to step on that same fence post and I was going to walk across the railing and I grabbed hold of a pole, a rigid pole that was in the ground, and I grabbed that and I was walking across the railing, I am no longer using dynamic balance. I'm using static balance. I'm dependent upon the pole. If the bar was totally rigid, people begin to become dependent upon that bar for their balance. If you were to stand on that same fence post and you walk across the railing, if you were to grab a willow branch, the moment you grab that willow branch, your balance just improved dramatically. It's not that the willow branch is going to stop you from falling off, but it's going to improve your balance. That's what the Cellerciser balance bar is designed. That's how I created it from the very beginning, is so that you would be working your dynamic balance. You stand up here, the moment you put your finger on or your hand on it, your balance improved dramatically. But it's loose enough so that you're still improving dynamic balance like that willow branch. If you need the static effect of a balance bar or a more rigid effect, all you do is take your hand, pull it toward you. It just stiffened up. Now you're more dependent upon the bar, but what will happen without you even knowing it is as your balance gets better and better, you will have less and less reliance upon the bar itself. What does that mean? That means as you go out and you enjoy your normal day-to-day activities, your balance begins to improve in everything you do. That's what that balance bar does. Now there's more. Holding on to the balance bar, we can alter the angle of our body in different positions. So as we alter the angle of our body and we do different movements, we're working our proprioceptors. See, the movement up and down moves fluid up and down past the stirrup, the smallest bone of our ear, and it's representing our vestibular balance. That's great. And by the way, it's extremely natural. That balance process is what babies do. The moment they stand up in a crib and they're able to bounce up and down, they don't have balance. We weren't born with balance. It has little or nothing to do with age. It's a physiological function. We have to challenge it. We always have. If we stop challenging it or we become more sedentary, we become more tentative, we challenge it less and less, and pretty soon we're more and more susceptible to an injury. But when we start off just like a baby in a crib. They hold onto that bar and they start to bounce up and down, and we do the same thing. We hold onto the bar and we begin to bounce up and down. As our balance gets better, we'll take that in other activities and other movements. Now when a baby gets better in their balance, they get out of the crib, they graduate to a couch or to a bed. We know it, we've done it, we've seen other kids do it. They jump up and down on the couch or the bed, and what do we do? What do we do, Justice? When they're jumping up and down on the couch? Go jump with them? No. How many times have I told you to stop jumping on the couch? He remembers. No, we do. We kick kids off the couch or the bed. If we knew better, I suggest that not only will we encourage them to do it, we'd be up there doing it with them. But it's not really good on the furniture. But we can do it on the Cellerciser. And the moment we start to move up and down, we start to improve again, that balance in everything we do. And what happens is as we play, which is what kids do, as we play on the Cellerciser, automatically we will start to begin to do more movements as our balance and confidence level increases. So just standing there and bouncing side to side, it improves. As we're jogging in place and we tilt backwards a little bit, we're becoming strong in this position. Now tell me any other exercises that do that. There's not really a lot. Gymnastics comes close, but it works differently. When you're on a Cellerciser and you tilt backwards, for most people that are in a weakened position right now, they can be pushed over very easily, very quickly. But with somebody who Cellercises, you become strong in an altered position. And that gives you an advantage in everything that you do. I don't understand why people don't recognize the value of what that's going to do compared to typical exercises where you're really not exercising in an altered position. Well, Cellercise you do. And so if you, I'm remembered, and I've shared it many times, of the lady who called me up and she was hanging her Christmas lights up. She came to the corner of her house and she has a wrought iron fence that went from her house over to the next yard. And it had all these spikes on it. And as she's reaching around, she knew better, but she was reaching around, hanging these lights up and lost her balance. And she started to fall toward the, the wrought iron spikes. And she knew what that looked like. So she leapt. She leapt from the ladder, pulled up, was able to miss the wrought iron spikes. And as she was headed down, she took her arms, put them down and rolled, and she stood up. She immediately gave me a call. She was in her late 50s, and she said, David, there's no way I could have done this before Cellercise. I get it. The things that I do now, there's no way. I mean, the simplest things that, and I remember when it really began to hit me is when I was in, and many of you have heard me talk about this, I was in a Food for Less. And I was standing in line and there was a bunch of people with baskets in front of me and we're all waiting and my shoe was untied. I had the basket right here. My shoe's untied. I didn't want to bend down in the store and tie my shoe. So I decided I'm going to lean on the basket a little bit, lift my foot up, and I'm going to tie my shoe. So I start to tie my shoe, right? Well, the basket moves. And I'm like, I just continued to tie my shoe. And I was like, wow, I wanted to tell everybody. But until you experience it, you really don't know what I'm saying. But when you get that balance, and it does improve because you're challenging the balance mechanism, then again, you'll start to take that with you in everything you do. So does Cellercise give us a competitive advantage for balance? You bet. Now there's several things we can do. Rocking side to side. You know, we're challenging our proprioceptors and our balance and our brain activity. Doing the twist. Doing some of the different movements that we teach on the Cellerciser. Taking the elbow and crossing it and hitting the knee. Or doing it back and forth. Those are techniques, but they're all challenging our balance. And I want everyone who does a Cellerciser, I want you to enjoy that and experience what that kind of balance can do for you. Okay, I want to take a few moments to talk